What's up? My name is Shauna. Welcome to my channel. On my channel, I basically talk about where I'm at in my life and where I'm going. I moved abroad to Malaysia and I talk a lot about that right now. Of course, there will be other things on my channel, but if you're interested, you know what to do. Anyway, today I thought it would be interesting to talk about being in a Muslim country as someone from the United States. So, as you may or may not know, Malaysia is a predominantly Muslim country. I did not know that before I came here, mainly because all of the content I consumed from people in Malaysia have been about people who are from abroad. So those people were usually not Muslim, with the exception of one person who did like a house tour, and she was clearly Muslim, and she talked about the wide availability of modest clothes. So that was cool. But I didn't think about that as like the major religion here. So just to give you a little background on me, I am from the United States. In the United States, as a predominantly Christian country, if you're from the US, you know this. For me personally, I did grow up Christian, but I am not Christian anymore. Long story, the short of it is that as I was getting older, Christianity didn't make sense to me anymore because of certain experiences that I had. So I changed from Christianity to spirituality. I'll leave it at that. So for me, I don't really mind religion for other people, but it's not my thing. Like for other people, if that calls to you, or if that improves your life, or if that keeps you moral or ethical, go for it. For me personally, I'll be entirely honest, growing up Christian in the States, all of the stuff I saw from Christianity, especially once I left Christianity, was very eye-opening, and I was not a fan of it. That is what it is. Anyway, also having grown up in a Christian household with my parents, and I could see something that set me up for being a little bit loosely associated, more loosely associated with Christianity, is my mother was Christian and my father was not. My father did believe in God, but he was not like a churchgoer, so that was something to look at. But anywho, I grew up to get out of the church, looked back on the church and was like, whoa. But anyway, coming to Malaysia, that was something that I just didn't expect. And again, if you look at my other videos, you'll know I didn't do any research because of the climate in the US and where it was going because of this administration. I just wanted to get out, and I just pointed at the map and was like, let's go. So that was the state I was in. But anyway, since I've been here, I've noticed a couple things. The first is, as a predominantly Muslim country, I am currently living in an Airbnb that has other women in it, and most of those women are Muslim. What I've noticed is that people mind their business. Like, there has been no one who has been like asking me what religion I observe or asking me if I believe in their religion. There's been nothing like that. Now, I do want to add a disclaimer that I have only been here for 2 months, and I have not gone outside and interacted with people much, aside from like going to stores, you know what I mean, and checking things out, paying for things. So I can't really act like an authority on what it's like spiritually in Malaysia, but I can say from my experience so far, no one has been pushy about it. That's something that is not the case in the United States. For any people in the United States who don't belong to Christianity, you notice that Christians have this thing where Jesus and God is part of almost all of their conversations. It's part of just the way they talk and the way they show up in the world, right? So like for me personally, I took public transportation a lot. The amount of times I would go to a grocery store and somebody would be preaching outside, or I would be on the bus and someone was like, y'all need to go to God and y'all need to pray. Or the amount of times that I would be like, just somewhere, and people would be talking. Yeah, if it weren't for God, you know what I mean? It's just a normal part of conversation, and it's very, very normalized to be very vocal about being Christian in the United States. And also, I've noticed in comments online, I went to Xiaohongshu, also known as Red Note, during that whole TikTok wave thing. And it wasn't because there was no TikTok, it was because Red Note came up, and I was like, well, what is that? So I went to Red Note to check it out. And I will tell you something. On Red Note, this is a Chinese app with a very close split, but mostly female user base. And on Xiaohongshu, Christians show up on this app that is Chinese based. It is a Chinese app with a Chinese user base. Christians have gone on there and they have done what they do in the United States, and that is be very vocal about being Christian and being very vocal about the Christian perspective of certain arguments. So China is mostly atheist, and they have their own older spiritualities. Like even though Christianity and Islam is there, people are mostly atheists, or they have their own Chinese traditional spiritualities. So yeah, that's an excellent example of kind of what it's like, kind of what Christianity is like in American culture. They will take something that is different and then talk about Christianity as it applies to that thing. So yeah, it's not like that here in Malaysia. I've only been addressed about Islam twice. So, and the second time wasn't even me specifically, it was an example I saw. So in my Airbnb, I'd been here for a while and I had problems with my room and I had to switch rooms, and the housekeeper asked me once, "Are you Muslim?" And I said no. And that was the end of that conversation. She never asked again. She never told me about, you know, what it means to be Muslim to her and all of this other stuff. She asked me and she let it go. That was that. The second instance, I went to the library in Kuala Lumpur. There's more than one library, but I went to like the main one, I guess. And as we were going in, they have security in the library, which I find interesting. Don't know why they have security in the library, but anyway, there was a guy sitting at the desk and there was a lady who was sitting on the side who was also security. She had on her hijab, and so she was obviously Muslim. But there was a couple who came in behind me, and the woman in the couple had a spaghetti strap top on. It is hot in Malaysia. She had a spaghetti strap top on, but as she was going through security with the woman, the security lady asked her if she had something to cover her shoulders, like to cover herself. So it wasn't, she didn't say you need to be modest or you need to it wasn't like, there was a little bit of push in her tone because obviously she was an older lady and she was Muslim, but yeah, the girl in front of me was asked, behind me was asked to cover if she had anything to cover herself, and that was the end of that conversation. She put on her sweater and that was a wrap. So those are the only two instances where I noticed that it even came up in conversation. But Malaysia, like I said in the previous video, is very diverse. There's a lot of people here, and there's a lot of people from different backgrounds. There's, pardon the clicking of the pen. There's a huge Chinese Malaysian population. The person who asked me if I was Malaysian, by the way, she spoke Hokkien, which is has something to do with Chinese. I'm not an expert on that, but she was Muslim too. So she was Chinese, Malay, and Muslim. But there's a huge Indian population here, and I'm not exactly sure what they observe. There are men who wear sarong skirts. I'm not sure if that's a religious or a cultural thing. So I haven't done a deep dive, but so far, as an American in the United States, if you observe Christianity, you will find that no one I won't say cares, but you will find that no one is trying to make you leave your perspective. Like, no one is trying to convert, to be honest. So I'll be honest, I really like that. I really like that, especially as someone who doesn't have a great history with Christianity. Just to give you the tiniest bit more about that. My mother was the one that was religious. My mother was narcissistic. And I noticed that a lot of her personality traits actually came from the religion. And I'll explain. A lot of her perspectives were, she didn't really care about animals or the environment, because in her mind, God gave us dominion over the earth. Therefore, we have control of it and we can use it how we see fit. So that rubbed me the wrong way, because I quite care about the environment and I really love animals. So I didn't like that mentality that we are supposed to use the things here for human benefit. I have the idea that we are all here and we all need to live well. So that's my take on that. And there's other things too. Even when I left Christianity, my mom would tell me often, "You'll go back." You know what I mean? So I realized that at the time, my mother, me not being Christian anymore, me choosing not to do that, kind of made her double down on her belief, because she felt like what she was doing was right. She had been taught her entire life that her religion is morally right. It's the only religion that is correct. You know what I mean? So me choosing to leave it kind of showed her that it was an option to leave. You know what I mean? She never felt like she had that option. My mom had been indoctrinated, like most of us, when she was a very small child, and she had observed the religion her entire life. So that was a little bit, I don't want to say disruptive, but that was a little bit jarring for her, that someone could just leave. You know what I mean? Also, it kind of challenges her, right? Because she thought that she might have done something wrong in her parenting for me to not want to be part of this religion. So, dude, I was an adult at the time and I made my own choice and did not reflect on her or her religion at all. You know what I mean? I felt differently and I made my peace with whatever divinity exists about it. So there's that. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. So if you happen to be an American, or if you happen to be from somewhere else in the world that is not Muslim, or you happen to be atheist, or you happen to be any other religion that exists, Jewish, etc., I have found that nobody's pushy about it. People just kind of do their own thing. And that is delightful. So that's my opinion on that. If you have any other questions, or if you want me to go deeper into my particular spirituality and why I left Christianity, just let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to expand upon that for you. And also, if you want an update in the future when I'm more integrated into society, I'll probably do that on my own. But if you want to see that, you can definitely let me know. So like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching this video. We have come to the time where I plug things that I've made. So here's one of them. Secretly a thirst trap. Little kiss on the back. It is a notebook. It is available on Amazon. It also comes in turquoise and pink. So if you like this, I think the turquoise and pink ones are really cute. Also, the pictures aren't great, but just know that on Amazon, but just know that this is what it actually looks like. This is what the product actually looks like. So if you're interested in that, I appreciate your support in advance. And then also I have a politically spicy Etsy. It's got some funny shirts on there. I'll put a couple on the screen. And if that toots your horn, I was gonna say. if you find it funny as well, or if you're just curious about it, feel free to check that out. Thank you. Bye.